I flash back to the weather station and my time there. Enzo doesn't know about any of that, and I don't see any reason why he needs to know, but I've seen it myself. There are no stairs there. Then I remember what he and Trinity told me on Halloween when we were in the woods. Wait, Trinity said the police checked that place from top to bottom. There isn't a level below the ground at the weather station, I say. Exactly. Maya and Maritza crinkle their noses at us. Shh, dummy, whispers Maritza. I shake my head at Enzo. So, if there is a secret basement, there might be something the police missed. Enzo nods. Look, I don't think your grandparents set that fire, but they had secrets. And with you guys back in town, those secrets are going to come out. There it is. The knot in my stomach laid bare for both of us to see. It should be super painful to see my gut splayed out like that, and mostly it is. Still, there's a part of me that's almost relieved. Not just that Enzo understands, but that he doesn't believe my grandparents were dangerous. At least not intentionally dangerous. What do you know about the Tavishes? I asked Enzo. I know they were rich. But do you know how they made their money? Like what business? Call! Maritza calls from across the yard, and when I turn, I see her flapping her arms like wings, and I think she's makes a terrible bird. But her eyes are huge, and when she points one of her wings toward the back window, it becomes a little clearer, at least to me. What are you doing? Asked Enzo. Maritza can't handle the stupidity. Dad's hanging up! Enzo pushes the photocopied article into my hands and instinctively ducks down, even though he's not crouched behind anything. Then he points to his own eyes with 2 fingers, then points to me, which means something like, I've got your back, I think. And Maritza joins him in his stooped form, and they soundlessly slide open the patio door and disappear inside their house, leaving Maya and me to escape on our own. I wave over her sharply, and she scurries to the fence. I wave her over sharply, and she scurries to the fence and makes it over the top without any help. I follow a little less gracefully. Even though it's not necessary because no one is following us, we sprint all the way home, only slowing when we reach our block. When we open the door, well, it's like we were never gone. No one greets us at the door. No one looks worried or relieved or peeved or confused. No one is there at all. It's just a quiet, dark house with no proof of life. Because we basically ate our body weight in snacks at the square, and I'm about to explode with the gas building in my intestines, thanks to those nature bars, we skip the kitchen altogether and retire to our separate rooms with little more to say. Oh, what is there to discuss, really? Just one more secret to protect. Only this time, I think I might know where to find the answers. This time, I have something to show Mr. Gershwitz. Something he can't shrug off or dismiss. I know my dad is a vault, and I have zero hope I can get information from him. But if Mr. Gershwitz can be straight with me, maybe I can steer this rumor away from my family and avoid a Titanic-level disaster. Now, all I have to do is find Mr. Gershwitz. Chapter 12. I spent most of the night trying to figure out how to locate a ghost. According to Dad, Mr. Gershwitz hasn't talked to him since their argument, and despite my couple of nights spent in the woods after that, in places I thought it was his job to patrol, I haven't seen any sign of him either. So, a ghost. I'm so desperate to find him, I even consider asking Dad. It doesn't seem like he's all that mad at Maya and me anymore. Not that either of us have seen very much of him. But there's no way I can ask him today. Today is the unveiling day. The day Dad's brilliant designs for the Golden Apple amusement park are revealed for the entire town. And then, well, it's probably best not to think about what comes next. One crisis at a time. In any case, I'm on my own when it comes to finding Mr. Gershwitz. Maya pops her head into my room without knocking. I could have been naked, I say, covering myself unnecessarily. Maya shivers. Just the thought makes me want to tear my eyes out. So knock. Can I have your waffles? I take a second to switch gears. There's waffles? Mom's been calling you for like 10 minutes. The lure of maple goodness is strong, but I still haven't come up with a plan, and I don't want to face Mom and Dad before I have one. Hurry up. We have to leave for the unveiling at 9:30, she says, clearly still vying for my waffle. She's ready to go, and I haven't even gotten out of my pajamas yet. Wait, I thought Trinity said it was going to be at 11. No, that's when it starts. We have to get there early, she says, looking over her shoulder. Your waffles? Fine, whatever, I say, and before I have a chance to realize what I've given up, she's bounding down the stairs to the kitchen. The ceremony doesn't start until 11. That means my family will notice if I leave midway through, but they won't if I'm not with them from the start. What kind of project? Mom demands to know, her arms crossed tightly. For school, I say, just as I rehearsed in my room moments before. Dad looks at me gloomily like he's only just started to like me again. But you're going to miss the beginning, Mom frets. Well, I'll try really hard not to, I promise. It's just that Trinity and I could only meet at this time to hand off our civics notes, and the project is almost due, and I don't want to get her in trouble, and I see Maya's ears perk up when I peer over Mom's shoulder into the kitchen. She lifts her head from my plate of waffles long enough to give me a disapproving look for dragging Trinity into this. Well, I make a mental note to apologize later to both Trinity and Maya. Right now, though, Trinity is my only chance to break away from the crowd without anyone noticing. Mom sighs. Oh, can't you meet with her later today, after the ceremony? I shake my head. She has, plans. She does? Maya calls from the kitchen, scowling at me behind Mom's back. She sure does, I say, burning a hole into her as discreetly as possible. How are those waffles treating you, by the way? Maya puts her head back down and keeps eating, reluctantly complicit. Up to this point, I haven't heard from Dad. I might be able to fool Mom for a short amount of time, but Dad's an entirely different story. My only hope is that he's too nervous about the ceremony to pay much attention to all the massive holes in my story, like why I never mentioned this project earlier, or how we could possibly finish it in such a short amount of time and still make it to the ceremony before it starts. And I have to go now. Well, it's the only time in the foreseeable future that I'll be near the weather station. If I miss this opportunity, it'll mean courting another grounding from my parents, who forbade us to go anywhere near the woods after our last adventure. Well, my only other option is to sneak out of the house again at nighttime, and, well, that's just not happening again. Not if I can help it. I take as deep a breath as I dare to, hoping Dad won't notice, and slowly tip my head to meet his eyes. I stare directly into them, with their green twinkle looking more like a spark in this moment. I try to remember when the last time is that I heard him laugh, or when I even saw him smile. I try to remember when he last seemed like my dad. Somewhere behind the green of his irises, I think I see it, that warmth. The way the skin used to crinkle around his eyes even when he wasn't smiling. The way his huge shoulders used to look protective instead of looming. Somehow, I think I still see the old him. Somehow, somewhere. School comes first, he says quietly. I try so hard to read the tenor of his voice, but it tells me nothing. We all stay silent for a moment, waiting to see if there's more, waiting to see if maybe he'll explain how he really feels. Instead, he reaches out and presses his hand gently into my shoulder, holding my gaze, and returns to his study for his plans. When Mom, Dad, and Maya leave, only Maya gives me a second look. She knows I'm up to something, and she probably resents being left out of it, but I need to confirm this for myself first. And the memory of losing her at the weather station the last time is still fresh. Come as soon as you can, Mom says over her shoulder, but she's more focused on my dad, who is a ball of nerves as he juggles his rolled-up blueprints and colorful presentation boards. It takes all of my willpower, but I wait until I hear the sound of the car's engine fade to nothing before I bolt upstairs and change my clothes. Maya mercifully left me a single waffle, and I scarf it down before slamming the door behind me and sprinting down the street toward the opening to the forest. There's no chance of getting turned around in the woods on the overgrown trails today. The noise from the gathering crowds for the unveiling ceremony can be heard from way back. All I have to do is follow the distant laughs and squeaking microphones they're testing for feedback. I think it's safe to say I underestimated the importance of this celebration. It's like Ravenbrooks has nothing better to do than get excited about a bunch of blueprints. Or maybe I just didn't want to admit that this could be Fernway Welk sometimes, or times two. As though to punish me, a blackberry vine rakes its thorny stem across my shin, tracing a deep scrape into the skin. I bend to squeeze the cut and try to stop the bleeding, scowling at the plant all the while. I get it. I'm a horrible son. I don't bother explaining to the plant that I'm just trying to keep the watchful eyes of Ravenbrooks off my obviously cursed family. I have to stop before I even reach the future grounds of the Golden Apple Amusement Park. The crowd is so big, it's already swelled beyond the roped-off area designated for spectators, and people have trickled into the woods. Parents have set their rambunctious kids loose to chase one another through the trees, and I'm quickly realizing that I'm going to need to give the area a much wider berth if I'm going to avoid being seen. I duck from tree to tree, catching snippets of conversations as I pass. No, you're the dookie head. I'm the dookie head. I'm the dookie head. Kimberly, Marcus, stop it. No one is a dookie head. I passed the first obstacle, but now I'm really in the thick of it, and a cluster of teenagers is gathered around a stump, at least 30 feet into the forest, behind the rows of seats that face a large stage. I'm telling you, no one's seen him for over a week. There's no such thing as forest protectors, June. You didn't think buffalo were real until last year. For the last time, I thought you were talking about woolly mammoths. Also real. Extinct. There's a difference. Well, all I'm saying is you'd have to be crazy to go into these woods alone. I hurry past the arguing teenagers, suddenly missing the dookie head conversation. That's the end of 10 pages, baby. It's nighttime.